Get ready, Padres fans. It's time for the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network.
Tatis hit third, 2 outs. Fernando takes off. He's going to steal home without a play.
Coming up, we'll have a recap of the previous Padres game, a preview of today's starting pitching matchup, and our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Mike Shildt. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Today the Padres take on the Arizona Diamondbacks in the second game of a 3-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today for the Diamondbacks, right-hander Brandon Pfaadt, and for the Padres, right-hander Matt Waldron. Hi again, everyone. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 6:40, Game 2 of this 3-game set. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, you'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt, plus a little bit later, I catch up with Padres reliever Adrian Morejon, and in just a little bit, we check in with Padres radio voice Jesse Agler. But first, let's set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971, with 3 locations, La Mesa, Vista, and Oceanside. Padres enter today with a record of 49-43. Padres are playing great baseball right now. They've won 12 out of their last 15 games in 4 consecutive series. Meanwhile, Arizona comes in 43-45. Padres enter today having the second wild card spot in the NL. The Diamondbacks are 3.5 games out of the third and final wild card spot entering today. It was another crazy fun ending at Petco Park last night. Let's relive it.
How did the Padres fare in their last game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind. Presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
The Padres trailed 2-1 going to the bottom half of the 4th inning. There were 2 on for Jackson Merrill.
3-1 to Jackson Merrill with a base open and a hard hit liner fair up the right field line. That's going to roll to the corner. Not only will it tie the game as Cronenworth scores, it'll give the Padres the lead as Machado scores. Merrill is speeding into third and in with a 2-run triple.
Padres had a 5-2 lead in the 6th inning. There was a runner on for Kyle Higashioka.
Here's the 1-1. That is launched to left field. Gurriel back to watch. How about another for Higashioka? Deep into left field. A 2-run homer in the 6th inning and a 7-2 Padre lead.
Fast forward to the top of the 9th inning. Padres still up 7-2, and this is where things got crazy. The D-backs loaded the bases against Enyel De Los Santos. Padres brought Robert Suarez in to face Alek Thomas.
First pitch to Thomas, swung on, hit in the air to very deep right center field. Johnson is back to watch. This one gonna go. A grand slam and a 1-run game here in the 9th inning.
Corbin Carroll hit a 2-out double. Pinch hitter Randall Grichuk was next.
He's ready. Here's the pitch. Grichuk swings, hits it in the air, deep down the left field line, trying to keep it fair this time, and he does a home run. A 2-run pinch hit home run for Randall Grichuk. The Diamondbacks have scored 6 times here in the 9th inning, and they go in front. It's 8-7.
Padres trailed 8-7 going to the bottom half of the 9th inning. The Padres answered against Diamondbacks closer Paul Sewald. Jurickson Profar led off.
Payoff pitch to Profar. Jurickson swings, hits it in the air to deep right. McCarthy is back. He is at the wall. He leaps. Gonna go! Tied again, and in the bottom of the 9th inning, it's Profar. 8-8.
Jake Cronenworth then walked. Manny Machado was next.
Sewald is set. Here's the pitch. And Machado swings, hits it in the air, deep to left field, way back. Gonna go! From gut punch to walk-off. Second home run of the inning for the Padres, and Manny Machado wins it with a 2-run homer.
Another fantastic ending here at Petco Park, as dramatic as it gets. Manny Machado, a walk-off home run, and the Padres winning 10-8 last night here in downtown San Diego. Absolutely electric in front of the biggest crowd ever in the history of this building. Let's go inside the Padres radio booth.
Let's go inside the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup from Jesse Agler in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Jesse, you and I were having a conversation a little bit earlier today, and we were talking about the feeling you had last night, even after the Padres fell behind, going to the bottom half of the ninth inning, looking at the part of the lineup coming up, and I think both you and I were on the same page with the way this team has played, with the way they continue to fight. You just felt like there was still a pretty good chance that they were going to find a way to pull it out. They did it once again, and it feels like that is starting to speak volumes about what this team continues to be and the way they continue to just rise to these big moments.
Yeah, and I think, the contrast from last year, because there came a point last season when you didn't have that feeling anymore. And I think generally as fans, right, no matter how much you had to absorb in the top of the inning in a situation like that, if you have the top of the order or the middle of your order coming up in the bottom of the ninth inning in a situation like that, generally you're going to feel okay about it. Really, you are, I think, as a baseball fan and certainly as a guy down in the dugout. But last year was just so miserable in those situations. It seemed like the big hit never came, like the big at bat never happened, and they just sort of went away. And it was vexing and confusing, and it never made sense, but it also really never stopped until it was too late. And so, I think, yesterday was just another reminder that last year is long ago now. It was weird. It was an aberration. We'll probably never be able to explain the 2023 Padres' inability to come through in those kinds of situations, but we don't have to because it was a 2023 thing, and we are very much on to the next now, as you said. I mean, there was not an expectation. I think that's probably overstating the way I felt about it, but, definitely a sense of like, all right, hey, you got Profar coming up. There's nothing bad about that with Cronenworth and Machado to follow. So, I think last year for a lot of us, especially, people like you and me who live and die every single day with this thing, it can break your brain a little bit and sort of, make you forget that you're supposed to have hope in those kinds of situations. And there's no doubt that this 2024 team has earned the hope that we gave them last night. And I'm sure a lot of folks watching the game, listening to the game, and here at the ballpark felt that same way.
Yeah, you can't overlook the Profar home run, how it changed the tenor of that ninth inning. In fact, I'm looking at a fan right in front of me with a Mr. Relevant shirt on. So it just it tells you the whole story about what a magical season this has been for Jurickson Profar. Jesse, talking about tonight, right-hander Matt Waldron on the mound for the Padres, and certainly when you talk about the success of this team moving forward, getting more starts like the Padres got last night from Randy Vasquez, he was really good. Getting something like that here tonight for Matt Waldron, that would go a long way. And really, aside from that last outing in Boston, it's what we've come to expect from Matt Waldron, and that's a huge credit to him.
Huge credit, and there's no doubt he's been the most stable member of this rotation all year long, and that's not often something you get to say about a knuckleballer. But right. That's sort of the way it's gone this year for the Padres starting pitching-wise with some of the injuries. And B, Matt has been that good, and that's obviously the more important piece of that is that he really has provided a great measure of consistency. The hiccup against Boston, to me, that's all it was. It was a hiccup. It's going to happen. Whether you got a knuckleball or not, you're going to have starts like that some days. Padre offense had an opportunity to pick him up. They didn't, and so it goes down as one of those. They do happen, as I said. So, look, the guy has been so good in the last couple of months, and my expectation certainly is that we'll see much more of that kind of Matt Waldron going forward than the guy who got, knocked around just a little bit more than we maybe have become accustomed to at Fenway.
Finally, let's touch on Manny Machado. Obviously, the big home run last night. You look at his numbers the last handful of games here, really going back even farther than that, his last 17 games. The numbers are really impressive. He had been hitting for average for a while, Jesse, but now the power is starting to come along with it in a really big way. And we're getting a pretty good reminder right now of when Manny is Manny and he's hot, it is a really, really special thing.
Yeah, no doubt about it. When he gets hot, he gets very hot, and he stays hot longer than most guys are capable of. And that's why we say he's capable of carrying a team. And, you said it. Look, you can go back 8 games, 12 games, whatever you want.
Right.
I'm going to go back 15 games just because the Padres have won 12 out of their last 15. So let's sort of like, for the purposes of my point here, let's call it that's really when this heater began. And in that time, those 15 games, of which 12 have been won by the Padres, Manny Machado is hitting .377 with 6 home runs. And as you said, that's been the difference in a lot of those games, quite literally last night hitting a game-winning home run. And, boy, the last 2 that he's hit here, I don't know that I would say this on the air, but I'll not in the game, but I'll say it here on the pregame for you. Those were gangster swings, man. Like the one after the Profar hit by pitch and the kerfuffle against the Nationals, and then last night the walk-off. I mean, those were the swings of a bad man in a big spot. And they were very similar. They were very powerful. They were very emotional. And they were very, very big for this team.
When you're an opposing pitcher and you get that Manny lean after the swing, that is not good news if you're the opposing pitcher. And, yes, on both those home runs, he had the lean going, and it's going out of the ballpark. Jesse, as always, appreciate the time. We'll talk to you and Bob Scanlon coming up at 6:30. Thanks so much.
You got it, Sam.
All right, that is Jesse Agler joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show as we get ready for today's game here on the Padres Radio Network. A lot to do between now and first pitch. A little bit later, I talk with Padre reliever Adrien Morejon, who has been really, really important to this Padres bullpen. He's been given some really high leverage situations, and when you talk about the most important guys in that bullpen, obviously Robert Suarez, one of them, Jeremiah Estrada, one of them. Quite frankly, anybody on any given night can be a very important part of the bullpen, but Adrien Morejon has really had a breakout season, so we catch up with Adrien a little bit later. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. We have an update on Yu Darvish to share with you, and much more from Mike. We'll also have who's hot, who's not, our keys to the game, and much, much more to come on what is turning into an absolutely beautiful Saturday evening here in America's finest city. Game 2 of this 3-game series coming up at 6:40 on the Padres Radio Network. Welcome back to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network. Your water perfected. EcoWater SoCal. Your water should be perfect. Find them online at EcoWaterSoCal.com. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 6:40. Game 2 of this 3-game series between the Padres and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Right-hander Brandon Pfaadt on the mound for Arizona, and the knuckleballer right-hander Matt Waldron on the mound for San Diego. We'll have Who's Hot, Who's Not coming up in just a little bit. We'll also give you our keys to the game, and a little bit later, I catch up with Padres reliever Adrien Morejon. But first, let's hear from the Padres skipper before today's game.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Presented by Sinley Food. Spice up your culinary life.
Mike Shildt earlier today inside the Padres dugout provided an update on Padres right-hander Yu Darvish.
All right, so Hugh's going to step away from the team a little while. He's going to go on the restricted list. He's dealing with a personal matter involving his family. Clearly we want to respect his privacy. He wants to make sure everybody knows, he's physically in a good spot and he's still working on his craft. But he is going to step away for right now and deal with some things on a personal level. And we're going to love and support him. He's part of the Padre family. But at the moment, he's going to take a break from the team.
Is that an indefinite timeline, Mike?
The restricted list is indefinite, so you can, we have no timeline on it. The only thing we want to do, the primary thing rather we want to do is just making sure Yu feels loved and supported by his Padre family.
So that was the update earlier today on Yu Darvish, and certainly we wish Yu and his family the best, and that was the update provided from Mike Shildt earlier today. Here was Mike Shildt, a little bit more of what he had to say. My question for Mike earlier.
In the last 10 games or so here at home, there have been a lot of big moments and comebacks and walk-offs. I'm sure sometimes it's nice to maybe win games in a little bit easier of a fashion, but when you have those kinds of moments, guys rising to the occasion, what does it do this time of year to help build and continue an identity for a group?
Yeah, I think we've established identity from day one. We talk about it a lot. It continues to get strengthened. It continues to be on display. The thing that makes baseball great and can create a little bit of excitement both ways is it's not scripted. It's in a scripted deal. The game 7-2, 5-1, 6-2, those are great games and just go out and play it. But the reality is, there's a beautiful drama in this game, and it doesn't go in a straight line. And when things get a little sideways, how you respond to them, and you respond, and your adversity is challenged, or your identity rather is challenged by your adversity. And when you face adversity, it really speaks to who you are as an individual and as a team. And we've faced those things, and I think our identity continues to be pretty clear. We're going to figure out a way to get it done and shake hands.
A tough outing yesterday for Robert Suarez, who, as we talked about post-game last night, was put in a really tough spot in the 9th inning yesterday, but he did give up the grand slam, then the 2-run home run as the Diamondbacks put together a 6-run top of the 9th inning. But, of course, in the bottom half of the 9th inning, the Padres getting the home run from Profar, the home run from Manny, and winning the game. Here was Mike Shildt earlier today on the offense yesterday, picking up Robert Suarez.
Yeah, no, it's huge. Like I said, in the game, that's what teams do. That's why we have a team, and teams pick each other up. Robert has picked us up a ton this year. We're not in the position we're in without him. He's been a tremendous teammate. He's taken the ball in a lot of different instances, including last night. He had to prove he was human a little bit, but I applauded our group's effort to come right back and figure out a way to. We talk about winners finding solutions, and the team found it.
He's been pretty willing to go when he's been worked hard. What does that say about him? I know it didn't go the way he wanted last night, but it's still, you need someone for that spot, and he's willing to take the ball.
I don't know about working hard. He's been worked appropriately. He had 6 days off prior to that. So, and the reality is, virtually every reliever does have to be worked hard. are worked, and the closer gets more spotlight for the obvious reasons. But we've had a lot of guys that have taken the ball and taken their innings and taken their turn and picked up innings and picked us up. So, it's a group, that's a big pillar of our team is the bullpen, obviously. And I love the way, and Robert leads it clearly, and he leads by example, to your point, AJ, about taking the ball, willing to go 3 days in a row, willing to get 4 or 5 outs. But frankly, our entire bullpen has been willing to do the same thing, and his leadership has encouraged. And that's just the way the game's played over 162. Especially when you play like we have in some of the stretches, 39 games in 41 days. So he's a great leader of our bullpen and creates a good example. And it's a group that is willing to take the baseball and go compete, even when they're not feeling great, which is a lot of days. And we want to take care of them, and we do take care of them. And but when they say they can go, and they go pitch, and but I respect the way he goes about it.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt. Before today's game, we'll hear more from Mike on our post-game show coming up a little bit later on tonight. Let's tell you now who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to kick things up another notch? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not on the Padres Radio Network.
We begin with a look at the hot category. Manny Machado in that category certainly right now. His last 17 games, he's hitting .362 with 6 home runs and 16 RBIs. Keep this in mind, Manny had just 6 home runs in his first 66 games of the season, and again, he's got 6 alone in his last 17 games. Jackson Merrill, last 25 games, batting .333, a .698 slugging percentage, .1058 OPS, 9 home runs, 24 RBIs in that span. For the D-backs, Jock Peterson, he's swinging the bat well right now, 5 for his last 13 with 3 home runs. Peterson is batting .299 with 12 home runs against right-handed pitching this season. Keep that in mind with another right-hander on the mound for the Padres here tonight. Gabriel Moreno in the midst of a 5-game hitting streak, 10 for 19 in that span with a couple of doubles, 2 home runs, and 6 RBIs. And one guy we'll put in the not category, Ha-Sung Kim, 1 for 13 in his last 4 games. And that is a look at who's hot, who's not, as we walk you up towards first pitch coming up at 6:40. When we come back on our pregame coverage, we'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, give you our keys to the game, plus we hear from Padres reliever Adrien Morejon. Much more to do on our on our pregame coverage as we get ready for Game 2 of this 3-game set. I'm Sam Levitt. You're listening to the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 6:40 here in downtown San Diego. Coming up in this segment, we'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, give you our keys to the game, plus in just a little bit you'll hear from Padres reliever Adrien Morejon. I had a really nice conversation with Adrien earlier today inside the Padres clubhouse. Let's tell you who's in, who's out as we take a look at our injury report.
Who's in, who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
You may remember from last night, Ketel Marte got pinch hit for by Randall Grichuk in the 9th inning. Now, it worked out beautifully for Arizona because Grichuk hit a go-ahead 2-run home run. That was before the Padres would come back and win it. But Marte came out with back tightness. He's considered day-to-day right now. He is not in the lineup for the Diamondbacks here tonight. So, quite literally, who's in, who's out? Well, Ketel Marte is out of tonight's starting lineup for Arizona, again, after being removed late in yesterday's game with back tightness. And a little bit later on during our post-game show tonight, we'll update you on the rehab assignment going on for Xander Bogaerts at AAA El Paso. But as far as today's game, the only update we have for you, Ketel Marte out of the lineup for Arizona. Let's take a quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard, tell you what's going on around the major leagues.
Let's take a trip around the bigs and tell you about the scores you need to know in our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Meat, where great taste meets integrity.
We take a look at scores today from around the major leagues. Let's start with the Mets beating the Pirates in Pittsburgh 5-2. Former Padre Luis Torrens had a bases-clearing double in that Mets win. Other games going on. Yankees beat the Red Sox 14-4 in New York. Rookie Ben Rice had an epic 3-home-run day for the Yankees as they beat up on the Sox. Twins beat the Astros 9-3 in Minnesota. Brooks Lee, a 2-run home run in that game for Minnesota. Angels beat the Cubs 7-0 in Chicago. Nationals beat up on the Cardinals 14-6 in D.C. Former Padre prospect James Wood hit his first major league home run in that game. Rangers beat the Rays 4-3 in Arlington. Marcus Semien, a 2-run home run in that one. A's beat up on the Orioles, my goodness, 19-8 in Oakland earlier today. Marlins 4, White Sox 3, the final in Miami. Dane Myers, a home run in that game for Miami. Tigers beat the Reds 5-3 in Cincinnati. Guardians beat the Giants 5-4 in Cleveland. And the Blue Jays beat the Mariners 5-4 in Seattle. Games going on right now. Dodgers 3, Brewers 2 in L.A. Braves ahead of the Phillies 5-1 in the 5th inning in Atlanta. Royals and the Rockies are just underway in Colorado. In fact, they're not even underway yet. They're about to get underway in Colorado. And that's about it. Only game yet to begin, aside from the Royals-Rockies game, is this one here in San Diego. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Saturday. Well, one of the real good stories for the Padres this season has been the breakout campaign of left-hander Adrien Morejon. A 2-1 record, 2.39 ERA in 29 appearances this season, 37 2/3 innings. He struck out 40 in those 37-plus innings, and he continues to be a high-leverage reliever now in this Padres bullpen, a very, very important part of this Padres bullpen. I caught up with Adrien inside the Padres clubhouse earlier today.
Sam Levitt here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for today's game. And right now I'm joined by Padres reliever Adrien Morejon alongside interpreter Danny Sanchez. Adrien, congratulations on what's been really a great season for you so far. When you think about what you've done this season, what's been the biggest key overall?
Bueno, primero que nada, felicidades en la temporada que has tenido, que cuando piensas sobre la temporada, ¿qué ha sido la clave para ti esta temporada?
Muchas gracias y no, siempre pienso en que todo el trabajo que vine haciendo en off-season, sobre todo mantener la rutina que venía trabajando desde off-season, pero la clave ha sido la parte mental, trabajar cada semana la parte mental ha sido la clave de todo lo que está pasando hasta ahora.
First of all, thank you. Really in terms of key to the season, I think back to the off season and just the routine, all the work that I put in in the off season, but also I would say just the mental side of things. Maintaining that mental focus and really focusing on that part of my game.
Let's talk a little bit more about your off season, the routine, that part of the year. Was there something that you did differently that changed this past off season?
Bueno, hablando de la rutina en el off season, que si hiciste algo diferente o qué hiciste durante el off season.
No, la realidad este año cambié todo mi preparación de off-season. Yo venía preparándome de una manera que al final pues siento que no me estaba funcionando y pues este año trabajé en cambiar toda la rutina y empezar a trabajar en las debilidades que yo estaba teniendo la mayor parte de los años anteriores, en la parte del cuerpo que había tenido la lesión, enfocándome en esas partes para fortalecer todas esas partes y poder estar mejor para esta temporada.
Yeah, honestly, I pretty much changed my off-season routine. Compared to what I had done in previous off seasons, this year I changed it all. Specifically, paying attention to, obviously I'd had some injuries and paying attention to the routine associated with those injuries and how I could better my body overall to be prepared to go into this season.
Adrian, you mentioned the mental side of the game. What changes, adjustments have you made in that department?
Bueno, hablando de la mentalidad, ¿cuáles ajustes o cambios has hecho ahí con la mentalidad?
No, he estado trabajando la parte mental sobre todo porque al final pues siento que eso es la mayor parte que uno debería trabajar aquí. Al final todo se basa en la parte mental porque en lo físico pues nosotros lo trabajamos y nos preparamos para eso. Pero mentalmente tenemos que estar preparados para poder salir allá afuera y hacer el trabajo en diferentes situaciones. Y pues he estado trabajando con una persona todo desde que empezó Spin Training, pues he estado trabajando esas cosas.
Yeah, I think the mental part is one of the most important parts of the game, especially for what we do. Obviously, physical can come and go, but the mental part, making sure that you maintain that mental focus. So I've put in a lot of work on that front. I've worked with someone on the mental side of the game. So for me, that's a big key and an important part of my game.
We're joined by Padres reliever Adrien Morejon alongside interpreter Danny Sanchez here on the Padres Radio Network. Adrien, recently you've started pitching back-to-back days. That's something you weren't necessarily doing earlier in the season. How have you had to adjust to pitching back-to-back days and still having success?
Bueno, que cómo has tenido que ajustar pichando en días consecutivos.
No, la realidad es lo que te digo, al final todo se trata de la parte mental, simplemente de preparar tu mente para cada situación y pues si me preguntan si estoy listo, pues yo voy a estar listo todos los días, simplemente preparar la mente para la situación que te pueda tocar en el juego y pues pensar todo el tiempo positivo que las cosas van a salir bien.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately for me, it goes back to what I mentioned, the mental part of the game, maintaining my mental focus. And, if I'm asked to pitch back-to-back days, again, it's having that mentality that I'm going to be ready. And if they ask me to go on consecutive days, again, I'm always going to be ready to go for whatever they need.
Adrien, I think a lot of people would describe the way you pitch, your arsenal as really electric. Your stuff has always been really, really good. This season in particular, with your pitch mix, what's worked so well? What's been the biggest key in that sense?
Bueno, que mucha gente tus picheos son eléctricos. La mezcla de tus picheos este año, ¿qué ha trabajado en la mezcla de tus picheos?
No, eso se trata de confianza. He trabajado con Niebla y él me ha ayudado a entender de que tengo que tener la confianza en mis picheos, tirarlo en cualquier tipo de situación y confiar siempre en que yo puedo lograr el objetivo y ejecutar el picheo.
I think it goes back to confidence. I've worked with Ruben a lot on gaining some of that confidence, having confidence in throwing all of my pitches in different situations, so really just kind of instilling that confidence that Ruben has helped me with in my game.
Adrien, when you think about your journey to this point, you were a starting pitcher in the minor leagues, you go through some injuries, you've dealt with some injuries at the major league level as well. To have the kind of success you're having now, how do you sort of sum up the journey to this point in your career?
Bueno, hablando de tu carrera, obviamente en ligas menores, empezaste como abridor, te lesionaste, has tenido lesiones acá en grandes ligas. Si puedes hablar sobre tu carrera hasta este punto.
No, siento que al final sí, obviamente al principio fue un poco frustrante, después de haber firmado aquí, que el equipo me diera la oportunidad de estar en Grandes Ligas y que yo sé que no pude cumplir con las expectativas los primeros años y pues sí, ha sido un poco frustrante, pero al final he entendido que todo es parte del proceso. Es mantenerse fuerte mentalmente y que en algún momento yo sabía que esto iba a llegar, siempre y cuando yo trabajara fuerte y me esforzara todos los días. Lo que está pasando en esta temporada yo sabía que iba a pasar.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It was frustrating, especially, when the team signs me and gives me an opportunity to make it to the big leagues. It was definitely frustrating, feeling like I wasn't able to contribute or give back to the organization that gave me the opportunity. But at the same time, again, going back to the mental part of things, there are things that happen in this game. There are things that are part of baseball. And so I knew that, once I got healthy and given the opportunity, I'd be able to help the team and be successful.
Well, Adrian, you've certainly been a big part of this bullpen, an important part of this bullpen. Again, congratulations on what's been a really nice season so far, and thanks so much for the time. Appreciate it.
Bueno, gracias por tu tiempo.
Bueno, gracias, Jai.
That was Padres reliever Adrien Morejon earlier today inside the Padres clubhouse. Really, really good stuff with Morejon, who continues to be a big, big part of this Padre bullpen. And again, a big thank you to Adrian for taking some time alongside interpreter Danny Sanchez. First pitch coming up at 6:40 here in downtown San Diego. Game 2 of this 3-game series between the Padres and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Right-hander Brandon Pfaadt on the mound for the D-backs and right-hander Matt Waldron on the mound for San Diego. Let's give you today's keys to the game.
How will the Padres unlock a victory in today's game? These are the keys to the game. Presented by Honor Buick GMC Hummer in National City.
Key number 1, runners in scoring position. Last night, the Padres went 4 for 10 with runners in scoring position. If you look at the Padres' last 15 games, the Padres are 12-3 in those 15. They're batting .360 with runners in scoring position in that span. That is the best mark in the majors over that span of 15 games. So a big reason the Padres continue to have success is that when they have opportunities with guys on base, they're finding ways to cash in. So runners in scoring position, that's key number 1. Key number 2, the Padres left-handed hitters tonight. Here's why. Brandon Pfaadt has some pretty drastic splits. Lefties hitting .300 against him with an .801 OPS. Righties hitting .181 against him with a .587 OPS. So lefties have been far, far better against Pfaadt than righties. You know who's hit better than anybody else, any other team against right-handed pitching this season? The San Diego Padres, a major league best, .276 batting average against righties, and their combined .764 OPS against righties ranks 3rd in baseball. So this is a team that hits righties well. This is a pitcher in Brandon Pfaadt who really struggles against lefties. So what does that mean here tonight? Well, guys in the lineup for the Padres that hit from the left side, whether that's Profar, whether that's Cronenworth, whether that's David Peralta, they have an opportunity to do some big things in this game here tonight, and that's key number 2. Key number 3, keep on hitting the home run. The Padres continue to win here at home when they hit home runs. They hit 3 more here last night, and this continues to just be an unbelievably homer-happy ballpark in downtown San Diego. There have now been 125 home runs hit at Petco Park in 2024. Believe it or not, that is the most home runs hit at any stadium this year. Petco Park, which is traditionally forever been a major pitcher's park. But there have been 125 home runs hit here so far, more than any other major league park. And the Padres have accounted for a lot of those. So they continue to win here at home when they're hitting home runs. That's key number 3. Keep on hitting those home runs. Nothing wrong with that. And that's a look at our keys to the game. When we come back on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show, we'll tell you about one Diamondback that the Padres have to limit here tonight. We'll also dive even deeper into tonight's pitching matchup between Matt Waldron and Brandon Pfaadt. First pitch coming up at 6:40. Our pregame coverage continues after this on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the Western Metal Building here at Petco Park as we get ready for first pitch. Coming up at 6:40, we go out to Jesse Agler and Bob Scanlon in just about 6 minutes. They'll have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and then all the play-by-play. Let's tell you what to watch for in tonight's game.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovementsSD.com.
What to watch for in tonight's game. Can the Padres limit Christian Walker again? Christian Walker, Diamondbacks first baseman, came into last night's game simply red hot, but he went 0 for 5 with a couple of strikeouts last night. Walker is still hitting .520 in his last 6 games with 5 home runs, 11 RBIs, and 8 runs scored. Again, that's with going 0 for 5 last night. So a key question here tonight, can the Padres hold Walker in check again? If they can do that, that would be a very, very good thing for this Padres pitching staff. A very dangerous hitter, power hitter in Christian Walker. Can the Padres limit him once again here tonight? That's what to watch for in tonight's matchup between the Diamondbacks and the Padres. Let's dive into our pitching matchup between Brandon Pfaadt and Matt Waldron.
Let's take a look at who's on the bump today with our starting pitching preview. Presented by Chimney Sweeps, Inc., San Diego's trusted chimney and fireplace service company for 40 years. Call Chimney Sweeps, Inc. at 1-800-CHIMNEY or book an inspection online at chimneysweepsinc.com.
Right-hander Matt Waldron on the mound for the Padres here tonight. 5-7, 3.56 ERA in 17 starts, 93 2/3 innings. He struck out 87 and walked 28. Last start against the Red Sox, gave up 3 earned runs in 4 innings and a third. Before that start, Waldron had just been marvelous. He had allowed 2 runs or fewer in 9 consecutive starts, a 1.95 ERA in that span. 2 starts against the Diamondbacks so far this season. May 5th in Arizona, 3 innings, 8 runs given up. That was his toughest start of the year, but then he bounced back against Arizona in early June here in San Diego. 6 innings, 1 run given up. The splits for Waldron, he is better against lefties than righties. Righties at 266 against him this year, an 806 OPS. Lefties at 197, a 529 OPS. Meanwhile, on the mound for Arizona, right-hander Brandon Pfaadt. He's 3-6 with a 4.28 ERA in 17 starts, 103 innings, 94 strikeouts, 26 walks. Last start against the A's, he allowed 1 run in 6 innings. He's also made 2 starts against the Padres this season. May 4th in Arizona, 6 innings, 3 earned runs given up, 10 hits allowed. Then June 7th here in San Diego, when 5 innings and a third, 5 earned runs given up, 9 hits, but gave up 3 home runs. Gave them up to Tatis, Profar, and Kim. Like we said earlier, lefties have hit 300 against them this season. Righties at only 181. And that's a look at our pitching matchup here tonight. A couple of young right-handers, Brandon Pfaadt for Arizona and Matt Waldron on the mound for San Diego. You've been listening to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network. EcoWater SoCal, your water should be perfect. Find them online at EcoWaterSoCal.com. It was quite an ending here at Petco Park last night. The Padres are playing some great baseball. They're 49-43. They've won 12 out of 15. What a moment for Manny Machado here at Petco Park last night. Makes you wonder what's in store here tonight. We're going to find out. When we come back, Jesse and Bob Scanlon have the starting lineups, first pitch, and then all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game show. You're listening to your home for Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network.